Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Know Your Role. We had a video we did like recently on the Dungeons and Dragons Red Book, and somebody in the comments said, the back of the box looks a bit different." And I was like, huh, huh. So I double checked, right, and I went into the storeroom and I started digging, and I found a cover for another box. So right, so this is what I found. There it is. There it is. That's the box cover for the bottom of the box. So it was a mismatch box, I guess. Oh man, look at this. Oh dear Lord. You know, it's a good thing this is not for resale. It's for private collection. I'm gonna have to fix this. I'm gonna have to fix this box a little bit so I can put it on display at the store. Yeah, but there it is. There it is. The Dungeons and Dragons basic set book. So I fixed the box up, and here it is. Here's the here's here's the box cover. I got this much later than the red box, but moving stuff around, a lot of my gaming stuff tends to get melded and crushed. So I did the best I could. I think I did a great job here. Yeah, I did a great job. So there you go. I'll probably put this on the store just for display. But more importantly, I also found the expert book, and I didn't want to wait too long between videos. So we're gonna have a look inside the Dungeons and Dragons Expert Rulebook. Now, the Expert Rulebook is a rulebook that gets you from level 4 upwards. In fact, for a lot of folks, actually getting from level 1 to level 3 was sort of relatively easy. It would take you about maybe 6 or 7. Oh, actually, it's a bit more than that. Sessions, and then once you got to this book, you pretty much have everything in your fingertips, and this book actually adds a little bit more to it. But hey, let's not talk about it. Let's have a look inside. Right, so let's have a look at the expert rulebook. It's got nice art up on the front, and it starts with the preface, some nice art inside, and a nod to earlier editions. Basically the brown box, the white box, the blue book, then the red book. Revised by Frank Manzer, illustrations by Larry Elmore, and edited by Anne Gray. You got a table of contents right here. The introduction pretty much tells you what to expect from this book, from the player's perspective, from the dungeon master's perspective. Let's see now. We've got hit dice here. After you've reached a certain level, they call them name levels here. We'll get to that in a bit. How to handle that. You got maximum levels, like for certain character classes. For example, like the demi-humans, there's a level limit. We've got horses, introduction of horses, and then titles. Let me read this. Most of the titles given in the class descriptions apply to male characters only. Feel free to create feminine forms for female characters. I like that. That's a very, very nice touch. You got spellcasting, rememorizing spells, reverse spells, which we'll get to a little bit later. And then into the rulebook. Now, the first thing we got into is basically jumping right into the characters. This is the human characters, and we start off with the cleric. The cleric moves up from level 3 to level 6, so you've got 6 levels of spells here. You've got the charts, as you can see. They've extended and expanded the list from acolyte, adept, priest, vicar, curate, elder, bishop, lama, patriarch, and then the ones over here are the name levels. Patriarch upwards. So up to level 9 upwards, you don't really roll your hit dice anymore. It's basically given as full. Here we see the cleric turning undead table. So T basically means you turn automatically, and D is destroyed. So as the cleric gets stronger, he gets more devastating, especially against the undead. A description of different spells. Now, if you notice, some of the spells actually have a little asterisk. Now, these spells with asterisks actually means that you can actually cast them in reverse. So, Cure Light Wounds, you can actually Cure Light Wounds can be casted in reverse, so you can actually cause light wounds, for example. So second level clerical spells, more spells, fourth level spells, more spells, sixth level spells. Oh, basically descriptions of all the spells, which is great because now, as you've expanded, you got access to even more spells, especially for the cleric. Then you have the fighter. For the fighter, you get as you progress, you learn lance combat, spear combat, and again, you've got a whole list of levels expanded. And for the fighter, I think it's level 9 where you actually get your name. They call them name levels as Lord. So here's when your hit points and things change when you get to level 9. You'll see later you get to build strongholds. Your levels your level hit points are not random anymore. You get the full complement. Then you got the magic user, 6 levels of magic user spells, and as you can see here, it's descriptions of spells. Then the thief, even the thief is expanded a little bit. When it gets to the name level, thieves get to cast spells, and these are spells that you basically read from scrolls, right? Which is, I thought it's kind of nice. It made the thief more three-dimensional, and it's actually a progression from the basic set, which actually makes sense. It's leading the player on, leading the player slowly, from a very simple character to play to something more complex. Yeah, you got the locks, as you can see over here. The ability stable increases. Over here, you also see the Master Thief is where you get where it's considered your name level. Then we have the demi-humans, the dwarves, and the elves. Now, as you can see over here, it basically is up to level 9 is where you get your dwarves, and the maximum level you can have for your dwarf is like level 12. It was actually explained earlier. The maximum levels you can get. For the elf, the maximum level is 10. For the halfling, the maximum level is 8. And all of this is because, you already start off with a whole bunch of abilities. So they offset it like this, using that. Then you've got a whole list of equipment and weapons they can purchase. And now adventuring. Because the expert rule set is more detailed on what you've already done, here they actually set up to give you even more stuff, for you to play with. I mean, once you've already know what's happening in the basic rulebook, all of this just becomes a good add-on. For example, wilderness travel, water, air travel, things like food or encumbrance, Now, the player section is actually about 21 pages. Of course, this is in addition to the player rulebook that you have in the basic set. And then you have the Dungeon Master section, which is basically, it's in the same book. So over here you can see clans. Now, clans are for demi-humans. They can actually form clans because they live for a very long time. As for human characters, you can actually construct strongholds. And of course, because it's expanded, you got things like aerial combat. You got things like mass land combat, and they actually drop chainmail here, which is great because up to this point you're just battling in a more skirmish manner. In this rule book, it gives you an option to expand it to even bigger tabletop scale battles. You've got the cost of construction of your stronghold, and then you have experience points, followers, mercenaries. You have NPC parties. It's nice that they introduced this now because as you're adventuring, you are bound to meet other adventuring parties. It's interesting because whenever a new player starts or a new group starts, they assume that they're the only adventuring party. But hey, there are other people running around as well who are out for adventure. Now, then you have specialists. So these are specialists that you can hire for your stronghold or for your hideout or for your clan. And as you can see over here, they actually break it down. So like clerics, can build strongholds, and demi-humans will have clans, and fighters will have strongholds that are called castles, and thieves have hideouts and stuff like that. Our magic users have towers, And if you like, you actually have, you can actually the DM can actually introduce taxing into the game, but that's up to the players in the game, DM, because the whole idea is expanding into a more expert level. So here's where they introduce designing wildernesses. So you're out of the dungeon now. You're adventuring outside. You got charts for quick research. No, we got maps over here, which we'll get to in a while. And we've got like encounter tables and stuff like that. All of this is just for ease of reach. All of this will be actually looked at in front and the back of the book. Now, here we have the campaign part, the D&D campaign, and they actually give you a sample of the wilderness and hometown. So, which is back to the maps over here. This is the threshold is the town that you start with. Assuming the designers assume that you're new, so you don't know how to design a town, so they give you one. Same goes for the map, and you can see here it's the map of the Grand Duchy of Karamikos. They do it all for you, so you don't have to do it yourself, right? There more information on threshold, the non-human lands, the gnomes, adventuring. So adventures for 1 to 3 characters, and there's different suggestions on different kinds of adventures they can use. Adventures in the wilderness, and of course, because it's the wilderness and no longer a dungeon, you've got all your own set of problems and your own set of encounters that you can go through, and it's all covered here, including a new frontier of adventuring, which is basically the water movement chart, lifeboat chart. You can actually see there's a lot of like information on waterborne adventures, ships that you can bring in. You actually have combat at sea, grappling and boarding. So they are slowly moving you to adventure away from land, which is great. Next up is the monster section. As you can see over here, you have a whole list of monsters. Some of these monsters actually have an asterisk on the end of it. This basically means that these normal weapons don't work on these monsters. Some of these monsters actually have on their hit dice, they actually have an asterisk on that. That basically means that if you defeat them, you get a little bit extra XP. Now you get to face off against groups of men like brigands and buccaneers and pirates. There's a slant towards like sea adventures here, as you can see with like pirates as well. You already have sea adventures and you got pirates, which is like kind of great. More monsters, and then you've got treasures. Of course, what's the point of adventuring, especially in an early proto fantasy role playing world, if there's no treasure. You've got magical items, another thing that you want to go and seek an adventure for. So the treasure section is broken down. The armor and weapons, potions, all detailed, including magical items, wands, rods and stuff like that. So that's and then the epilogue. Get ready to open model X1. I gotta go find that. So that's pretty much it. That's the expert rulebook. It's more lean if you compare it to the basic rulebook, because this is basically the expansion on the basic set. So once you've gotten from level 1 to level 3, this rulebook comes to play. So there you go, expert rulebook. So there you have it. That's the blue expert rulebook. They actually have another blue set, so they're just expert rulebook. I think as I go through my storeroom and I find more Dungeon Dragon old books, I'll bring them out and show them to you. But Know Your Role is basically where we'll feature more and more rulebooks. So hopefully we'll go through all my retro stuff first. It's just nice to archive all of that on video, and then we'll do the new stuff. That's how it's gonna work for Know Your Role. If you like what you see and you want to see more role-playing stuff, like, subscribe, or buy me a coffee, because I have a buy me a coffee. But if there are certain kinds of role-playing videos that you want me to do, leave some comments in the comment section, so I'll know where to go with this. until I have a prompt. I'll probably go with what I feel like doing. So I'll probably be going through, old rule books and perhaps one or two tip videos. But if there's something that you want to know, or if you're a newbie and it's something you want to ask, in the comment section is where the question should go. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Hope you liked the video. Yeah. Know your role.